Howdy y'all. Thank you for joining us today for this playthrough of Marvel Champions the card game, Age of Apocalypse. And what we're doing here is I took the Bishop and Magic decks and unchanged, sleeved them up, and I like to just play them up against usually the first scenario of the thing, which would be Unis, but I think for flavor, I decided to try out the Horsemen, and I might even upgrade to Apocalypse later. But we're going to see if these can handle the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse. So we got a little bit of a different setup here, and we'll see how this goes, especially since I've never fought against these, and other than just the unboxing that I just did, I haven't really seen how these work. I mean, I'm assuming knock all 4 of them out, but we're going to have to deal with all their stuff. But, and while I'm talking here, I'm just shuffling this up. I've already given it about 100 shuffles, but figured give it some more. I'm going to start out with Bishop here because I've really been looking forward to playing with Bishop. Even though Magic does look like more my play style. But Bishop was one of my favorite characters, so I want to see how it goes. But let's go ahead and get their hit points here and just jump right into this. And if this is your first time to join me, what I do here is I'll do the first round as kind of a fast, quick teach, enough to get you the basics of the game. But after that, I'll just go through it. But enough to where you can understand what's going on in the other rounds if we go multiple rounds. So we'll see what happens here. I've already got the villains deck already sleeved up. And I went with just what it suggested here, which was the Dystopian Nightmare and the Hounds. And just realized I don't have the standard cards here, so I'm going to go get those standard cards. We've got the standard set there. I just didn't grab it because I was thinking of doing the standard 3 that came in the box, but I figured give a better representation of what sets up a little bit more, or how these decks work with just the standard play. I mean, I don't really even use the standards anymore, so I had to dig these out. Only because I think now we just do standard 2 and expert for the most part with what I play with. But, alright, I'm going to give these shuffles and skip ahead. I guess while I'm shuffling this, I can go ahead and be talking about this stuff. So it looks like here, it says Contents, War A, Famine A, Pestilence A, Death A, the 4 Horsemen, Standard, and 2 modular sets, Dystopia, Nightmare, and Hounds, which is what I got inside the deck that I'm shuffling right now. And then for setup, it says shuffle the 4 Horsemen villains, then reveal them in a row from left to right, which is what I did earlier already. Place the active counter on the leftmost villain, and then each player reveals a random side scheme from the 4 Horsemen encounter set, which I haven't done, so let's do that. Alright, so we're looking for a random side scheme. Oh, then we hit one. That says that's be from the Horsemen encounter set. That one was from the Hounds. Dystopia Nightmare. Guess I could have done this faster the other way. There we go. So a 4 Horsemen side scheme. And if you're new, what the side scheme is, we're going to have this main scheme going on that they're trying to pull off, which is going to tell us on the other side that if it's completed, they win. But we're going to have this other little side scheme that's kind of be a pain in the butt to us. And this one comes in. It's a time of famine. And we're going to put 6 threat on there, because it says it comes in with 6 threat. And the mere touch of famine leaves even the strongest mutant enfeebled. When defeated, the player who defeated this scheme discards the top 10 cards of their deck. And then it's also going to have an acceleration, which we'll get to during the villain phase. Wish I would have brought one of my hero clicks of one of the Horsemen, but for now we're just going to use this as the marker that it mentioned here. An active counter, so it's saying that War is the active Horseman right now. I guess we can flip this over and go ahead and see the rest of it. The four horsemen are the most brutal servants of Apocalypse. They strike in turn, using their powers as a team. As a forced response, after a villain activates, move the active counter to the next villain. So once war activates, it'll go to famine, and then until famine activates, and so forth and so forth. Alright, this should be way more than enough shuffles. I did put my obligation in there also already, so that should be good to go. And let's go ahead and put 9 hit points on each of these characters, or each of the horsemen. There we go. Hopefully all those are on camera. And I know I got a little bit of glare there, but I didn't notice that with that marker. But with that, let's get Lucas Bishop here all set up. So we give some shuffles here, and we're going to have a starting hand size of 6 with 12 hit points. I know I forgot to go over that in the unboxing. I normally point that out. And we have a response with him that after we change to this form, we add a temporal card in our discard pile to our hand. So I've already given this quite a few shuffles, so we're just going to give it a few more for camera's sake and call it there. Alright, and then we draw 6 cards to our hand. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we are ready to get started. Well, like I said, if you haven't joined us before, this will be a quick little teach for one round. It's really just so that if somebody is new, I do want to introduce people to this game. And if this is their first video because they like Bishop or they like the Age of Apocalypse, so this is what they want to look into, I want them to be able to follow along at least later on. But we're going to go through a round, and a round is going to consist of round, turn, however you want to look at it. We're going to have 2 phases. We're going to have the hero phase, and then we're going to have the villain phase. The hero phase starts out where all the heroes, everyone who's playing a hero, will take their turn and do actions until they don't want to. And then once everyone has done their actions, we'll go on to the villain phase. So let's start out with the hero phase. Sorry, I know I edited out this long think I was doing because I'm trying to resist the urge to want to just play out a lot of things in my hand. But I know from the unboxing that I want to keep resources in hand, kinda, because of ways the cards work. So I'm just kind of trying to fight that urge to see if I should learn to play this deck. But I'm going to go with just what feels right, and if it doesn't work out, I'll learn when I decide to build this deck. So let's see what we're going to do here. So one of the things you can do on your turn is you can play cards. In order to play a card, it has the cost at the top of the card, and in order to pay that cost, you have to pay resources, which are at the bottom of a card. So what that means is, I want to bring Legion out here. Legion costs 3 resources, as you can see here at the top. So I have to discard 3 resources worth of cards in order to get those resources. So I'm going to discard these 2 cards, 1, 2, 3, and there's the 3 cost. And that lets me bring Legion here into play, who is an ally, and we'll get to how the allies all work. So, and we can have up to 3 allies in play at one time. I want to go ahead and bring out another card. I'm going to bring out this upgrade that costs 0. So, and what this one is, it's a card that basically, as an action, I can discard. Oh, sorry. Like I said, I just filmed that other video, so my voice I thought was getting better. But anyways, discard a resource card from your hand to place 1 charge counter here for each resource icon on that card. And then later, I can basically get rid of this, and for each counter on here, when I attack, as a hero interrupt, I can discard this, and I get +2 attack for this attack for each charge counter that is here. So that's putting cards into play. Another thing you can do on your turn is if you have an action you can do, like in the case of this, as an action, I can discard a resource card from my hand to place 1 charge counter on here for each resource icon on that card. So this is where I wanted to keep this in hand, but it seems pretty good because I'm going to discard this resource, like it said, resource card from hand. It is a resource card. And it gets 1 charge counter on here for each resource icon on that card. There are 2 resource icons on here. So it gets 2 charge counters on here. Another thing you can do on your turn is once per turn for free, you can switch from one form to another. So in this case, what I mean is I can switch from alter ego form to hero form or hero form and vice versa on that. So in this case, I am going to switch to hero form, which you can see it changes my stats and my main abilities and my basic abilities, I should say, and then my main ability is different also. So which now my ability is, as a response, after I take any amount of damage from an attack, I discard an equal number of cards from the top of my deck and add each resource card discarded this way to my hand. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is, I noticed I put this upgrade into play, but if I look over here at War, who's going to activate against me, it says that after War attacks me, if he has at least 1 hit point, discard an upgrade or support I control. So basically, if I don't use up these charges, when he attacks me, which he will be doing, I'm going to lose this anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and use up these charges that I just now put on there. So I'm going to go ahead and have Bishop do his basic action. And what that means is once per turn, not once per turn, but if your character is readied, you can turn them sideways and exhaust them to do one of these abilities. So if I wanted to, I can exhaust Bishop here and thwart a scheme for 2, which means I get to remove 2 threat from a scheme. There's none on the main scheme here, but there are 6 threat here, which will get rid of this scheme. Or I can exhaust Bishop to attack a villain or a bad guy for 2, which right now we have 4 different villains, and the way it works in this one is you can attack whichever villain you want to, and they each have 9 hit points, and I basically got to knock all 4 of the villains out. Or if I have an attack incoming to me, I can exhaust Bishop and reduce the damage from the attack coming in from me. And I'm going to show on the other side just for people who may be new, but I can't do this because I've already switched to the other form. But if I wanted to, you can also recover as a basic action, which would be to exhaust Bishop and recover this many hit points back to my max, which I'm already at. So with that being said, I'm going to have Bishop go ahead and attack. Right now, I'm doing 2 damage to War. Plus, as a hero interrupt, when I make a basic attack, discard supercharged. Oh, I'm going to discard it anyways. Never mind. Yep, so I'm discarding supercharged to do this extra +2 per counter on there. So 2 counters means +4. So I'm doing 6 damage to War. So War takes 6 damage. I was thinking for some reason I'd be able to keep that, but yeah, learn to read, discard it. Alright, so now that we've done that, we're going to have Legion attack War, and there is a chance if we hit a certain symbol that we knock War down to 0, which means we wouldn't lose the upgrade anyways. But let's go ahead and see how this works. So I'm going to, the way allies work, they work the same way, except notice they don't have a defense. So they attack or defend in the same way. But if they defend, they just take it all to the face. They don't have a way to defend and slough damage. But if you'll notice they have these little stars next to them, that's because when they attack or thwart, they're going to take consequence damage for doing that, for equal to how many stars are there. In this case, I'm going to have Legion attack War also. Sorry, I was rethinking whether I should do that or not. Yeah, I'm going to have Legion go ahead and attack. I was like, I should thwart. No, I'm going to have him thwart. Because there's nothing that his extra attack's going to do to me. I have no upgrades or anything, so no supports. So I'm going to go ahead and thwart with Legion. So I'm going to thwart for 1, which means I have no threat to remove from here, but I do want to keep an eye out because if this gets 12 threat on here per player, so since we're playing solo, if it gets 12 threat on here, then we lose because it says that this stage is completed, but we want to get rid of this as fast as possible. So we're removing 1 threat from a time of famine. And then Legion has a response that after Legion uses a basic power, discard the top card of your deck, and if that card's printed resource has any of these symbols, we get to do them. And that's where I was hoping to attack War for 1. And then we hit that symbol, which deals 2 damage to an enemy, taking him to 0. But that's fine. We thwarted with him. We also got to make sure, so we don't forget, we get 1 consequence damage for doing that. So 1, 2, it's 3. And then now let's see what's on the top. It is a physical, which is heal 2 damage from Legion. So Legion heals. Yeah, I definitely think this will end up going in my Storm deck. Storm ally deck, which I need to play that on. I like that deck. I have so much fun with that deck so much. I need to play it a lot more. Anyways, so that's everything with those basic attacks. I have now used up all the actions I have available to me here. I have no more cards I want to play from hand, so now we go on to the next player's phase, which our next player's turn, which there are no other players because we're in solo, so we go to the end of the player phase. The end of the player phase is all players now can choose to discard cards from their hand if they wish. So I'm going to keep this card in hand. So now we draw up to our maximum hand size, which remember was 6 when I was in alter ego form, but now it is 5. So typical. So we had 1, so we draw 4. 2, 3, 4, 5. And once we've drawn up, and I just went ahead and did it, but once we've drawn up, we get to ready and unexhaust all the cards in our play area, and we move on to the villain phase. So the villain phase starts with what's called the acceleration of the main scheme. So we look here and it says it accelerates +1 per player. So it's accelerating 1 threat because there's 1 player. But we have this thing which says anytime we do the acceleration, we accelerated an additional 1. So it gets that additional 1. That's why I said I want to get rid of this. Next, we go into the villain activation, and normally there's only 1 villain, but in this case, since there's 4, it's whoever is the active villain at the moment, which is War. So War is going to activate against us. When a villain activates, they will check to see what form they're going to activate against each hero identity, and it depends on which form that identity is in as to what they do. If they are in alter ego form, then the villain will scheme and add more threat to the main scheme. And if they're in hero form, then they will attack them. So in this case, Bishop is in hero form, so War will be attacking me. And since we're at max hit points, I'm not going to defend. This is when I would have to choose to defend right now and reduce the damage coming from me. But with Bishop, we kind of want to take some damage, see if we can get some resource cards into our hand. So we're not going to defend. So War is attacking us for 2. And then the villain gets what's called a boost card. They deal the top card from the deck into the player's boost pile. There could be more. There isn't right now. And then after they're dealt, we flip over and look, and we are ignoring the whole card, and we're only looking down here at the bottom. And we are looking for this symbol right here. And they get an additional plus to whichever they're doing, scheming or attacking, added per each one of these that are there. I know, like I said, teaching things, but if this symbol were to show up during this phase, that's the only time you would look over here, and you would look and see where that shows that symbol, and it's a boost that would happen to that attack, or scheme or whatever. In this case, it's just +1. So 2 + 1 is doing 3 damage. I did not defend, so that means I'm taking all 3 damage. And I could have, like I said, defended with Legion, which would have exhausted him also, but I want to be able to use him some more. Now, I'm going to interrupt that, as it says here, Hero Interrupt. It's a 0 cost. It says defense. When an enemy attacks, technically interrupts mean it looks at before, so this would have been before he attacked, but nothing's changed here. Either way, shuffle each resource card in my discard pile into my deck, and I cannot take more than 3 damage from this attack. Well, I'm only taking 3 anyways, but it does let me shuffle in these 2 resource cards from my discard pile into my deck before I take damage. Because Bishop's ability is that after I take any amount of damage from an attack, I discard the same amount, equal number of cards from the top of my deck, and I add each resource card discarded this way to my hand. Alright, gave it some shuffles there. Now we have to take our 3 damage. So 3 damage. And then, since we took 3 damage, we have to discard the top 3 cards from our deck, looking for resource cards. Oh, there's one right there. There's one right there. And then, but I mean, getting extra resources seems good. So, put these in hand. After the villain activates, we do have force response that after a villain activates, move the active counter to the next villain. So now, Famine is the active villain. And Famine, when Famine attacks me, if she has at least 1 hit point, I have to discard the top 10 cards on my deck. Now, that won't do the same thing with that resource thing, because that's only when I take damage. It's just going to let me get through my deck faster. Which, when your deck runs out, you have to do more of these encounter cards, which we're getting to now. So, after the villain has activated, any minions that are on the player would activate. There's none there. And then, now, we go to the encounter step. And in the encounter step, each player is dealt 1 encounter card from the encounter deck. Same deck from the boost deck. And then now, and there could have been more in their encounter deck, this is when you would take care of any encounter cards that were dealt to you from this phase, this step, or from any other previous thing. So now we have to deal with these cards, or this 1 card in this case, and we have to do whatever the card says. So in this case, we get Hound, which is a minion. So this minion is going to attach to us, and it would come over here attached to us. But since I have a villain area, I like to just put everything in the same spot for the villains and bad guys. And we have here, just because it's solo. In multiplayer, you couldn't do that. You have to know who they're attached to. So we have a Hound here who is going to be just like the villain. They're going to scheme and attack whenever the villain activates during that step, depending on your form. But they don't get the extra card boost unless they have a special ability called Villainous. So in this case, Hound here has 2 hit points. Hound also has Guard. So Guard is, I can't do anything to the villain until I take care of this. And then when revealed, if you are in hero form, Hound attacks you. Otherwise, change your identity to hero form. Ahab's hounds are mutants stripped of free will and forced to hunt their own kind. And in this case, I am in hero form. So Hound is going to attack me for 2 damage. I will not defend, so we're going to take the 2 damage. We already just did that, so he takes 2 damage. Now we have to discard 2 cards. 1, 2. And that was from the encounter step, and it only attacked because it said 2, because that was the when revealed effect. After everybody's taken care of their encounter cards, the last step is to pass the first player marker to the next player, but in this case we're solo, so we're just going to continue on. And that's it. That's the basics of the game. That's really fast. I know it's to teach, but that's what we're going to do. We're going to go back and forth through the rounds, and we're going to see if we can manage to... I didn't mention the win and loss conditions, but our win condition is we have to defeat the villain, or in this case, all 4 villains, before the villains either pull off their main scheme or knock out all players, in this case, us. So let's get to it and see if we can win this now. So the first action I'm going to do for my turn is I want to play this card. It costs 2 to play. So we're going to discard this. It had 2 resource icons on it. And it's key that that was a resource card because of what this card does. Because this is an event, a one-time use, command authority. Hero action means I have to be a hero form. It's an action I can do. Thwart, remove 3 threat from a scheme. If I paid for this event with a resource card, draw 1 card. I did. So first we're going to go remove the 3 threat from a scheme. We're going to move the 3 threat from here. Now remember, Hound guards, all Hound does is just stops us from attacking the villains. Doesn't stop us from doing anything else. But we removed 3 threat from a time of famine. And then now, because we paid with that with a resource card, we get to draw a card. I'm going to have Bishop go ahead and do his basic attack. And he's just going to attack Hound here. And his attack was for 2 damage, so enough to take Hound out. Or take the Hound out. Legion here, I'm going to have Legion thwart again for 1. And have it remove 1 from a time of famine. And then let's hope to hit one of these. Let's see what we're going to hit. Oh, it's that symbol, which deals 2 damage to an enemy. Man, I should have done that first. I would have used that to take out Hound, and then I could have Bishop clean this up. Oh well, should have thought that through. I didn't think about it. Yeah, we'll go ahead and do the 2 damage here. And then now Legion also has to take the consequence damage. Yeah, I did not think that through very well. So we're going to go ahead and bring Malcolm out. It costs 3. There's our 3. It seems like such a waste, but we're going to have Malcolm actually thwart and get rid of this time of famine. I should have done it the other way around and remove the 1 from there, but I already revealed a card with Legion. I just didn't think it through very well, and then I would have brought Randall out to take care of time of famine, but that's fine. Time of famine's gone. We got that done. And Malcolm has to take a damage. And then now we're going to switch Bishop over to his alter ego form. And he has a response that he's temporarily displaced, that after you change this form, add a temporal card in your discard pile to your hand. Oh, to your hand. I really should learn to read and remember. I'm going to go add this temporal or this stored energy into my hand, because it is a temporal, as it says there. And actually, we're going to go ahead and bring Randall out now. He costs 3. He'll be my 3rd ally. Like I said, you are limited to 3. And there's my 3 resources. And now I have Randall out. And I'm going to have Randall go ahead and thwart the main scheme for 2. Which is enough to clean it up. But then he's got to take 1 damage also. With that, I am done with my hero phase. I have no cards in hand, so we're going to draw up to my hand size. I'm back in alter ego form, so it's back to 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we ready all of our cards. Back to the beginning of the villain phase. We accelerate the scheme for 1. The villain is going to activate.
You've got mail.
I am in alter ego form. So the villain will scheme for 2 plus its boost card, which is another 2. Adding 4, we'll just make that a 5 there. And notice this forced response is only after famine attacks. It did not attack. She did not attack. She instead schemed. But this forced response that after a villain activates, which a villain did, move the active counter to the next villain. So death is now active. There were no minions. Now we go to the encounter phase. And we look and see. Hunted, it's an obligation. So an obligation is something that's got to come over in our play area. So the obligation says, oh, that symbol right there means that it is, I have to take an extra encounter card each turn. And this stays on me until alter ego action here. It says discard a card from my hand and discard this card. Okay, because we're being hunted. It's not as bad as I was thinking, but I still don't like it. Encounter step is done. Villain phase is over. Back to the hero phase. Well, I don't have a sidekick right now, so I'm going to go ahead and use this alter ego action, which I'm in alter ego form right now, and discard a card from my hand to get rid of this. So since I don't have a sidekick, we'll get rid of this side by side. Since we know our options this time, I'm going to learn, and we're going to activate Legion first and see what comes up with this. So we're going to have Legion go ahead and thwart the main scheme for 1. So removing 1. And then now we have to discard a card, and it's the fist symbol again, which is heal 2 damage from Legion. I guess I should have done the damage to him first. I'm just going to remove 1, but it don't matter. He's going to take the consequence back and get 1 back. And we're going to have Malcolm go ahead and swing 2 damage at Death. So Death takes 2 damage. And Malcolm takes the consequence damage. We'll have Randall swing in and do 1 damage to Death. Taking him to 6. And then Randall takes a consequence damage. We're going to have Bishop go ahead and recover for 4 health. Taking him to 11. And then now we're going to have Bishop switch over to his hero form. Because I want to play this card, which is a hero action, so I have to be in hero form. Costs 3 resources. So we're going to pay the 3 resources here. To do Concussive Blast. And it's deal 6 damage to an enemy if you paid for this event with a resource card. Ready Bishop. I did not use a resource card. I had one, but it's only I guess I could have paid for it with it. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, I'm going to take Team Training back in the hand. And we're going to go ahead, even though it's kind of a waste because it only counts as 1 resource. If it would have been to a leadership, it would have counted as 2. But it will let me ready Bishop to do a little bit more stuff. But anyways, let's do the 6 damage first, which is enough to take Death to 0, which we really wanted to do because when Death attacks me this turn, if he has at least 1 hit point, which he doesn't, he's got 0 right now. If he has at least 1 hit point, he would deal 1 damage to each character I control, which would be enough to knock out 2 of my allies, and I didn't want that to happen. But since I used that resource card, losing that extra resource, it does ready Bishop, and I'm going to have Bishop go ahead and thwart the main scheme for 2. And then we're going to the end of the hero phase, leaving this in hand. So we draw 4 new cards. 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks exactly like the hand I just used. All right, that's fine, that's fine, that's fine. And ready all of our stuff and go to the villain phase. All right, top of the villain phase. Accelerate the scheme for 1. I am in hero form with good amount of hit points, so I'm not going to defend. So Death is going to attack me for 2. There's the boost card. And, well, there's that boost. After this activation, Death activates against you. Do not give Death a boost card for that activation. So he's going to attack me again. I'm going to put that there so I don't forget that. And since he don't have the plus hit point, he doesn't do the extra thing of damaging all the characters I control. So, yep, 2. This is not a plus. That was just to activate that boost. He's going to attack me again. So he's just attacking for 2. So take 2 damage, taking me to 9. And my ability kicks in that I discard the top 2. And if any resources got discarded, then I would get them, but they didn't. And then we have to go through all the other forced response. After a villain activates, move the active counter to the next villain. And then also, now Death's going to activate against me. So, but he doesn't get a boost card. So he's just attacking me again for 2. I'm going to take it. Taking me back to 7. And then 2 more cards. 1, 2. No. Also, I'm going to assume that this whole thing, even though it says after this activation, death activates against you, I'm going to assume that all this is all part of that initial activation that that force response is going to take effect from. So he's just double activating against me. And this is all in consequence of that same activation. That's the way I read it, the way they interpreted things online, and the way other multi-villains have worked. So if I'm doing that wrong, sorry, I just gonna do it that way. Alright, so we go to the encounter step now. And Golden Horse. Attached to the villain with the fewest hit points without the aerial trait, which would be War here. Attached villain gains the aerial trait and is considered to have at least 1 hit point. As a hero response, after I attack attached villain, resolve its forced response as if it just attacked you, and then discard this card. So all it's really going to do is it's going to give War here the aerial trait, +1 scheme and attack, and it's like War always has 1 hit point, even if I got it to 0 like I did Death. But when I attack, he's going to get that forced response a bit back to me immediately. That's if I want to trigger that after I attacked. Because it's not a forced response. So if I want to get rid of that, when I attack War, I could choose to do this, get rid of a support or upgrade to get rid of that. Which, if I don't have any support upgrades like I don't right now, be a good time to do that. So to the top of my turn. Once again, don't want to think that hard on it. It'll be something I'll look up afterwards when not playing on video. But I'm going to have Bishop go ahead and attack War. And the only reason I was thinking it would be weird is it's a hero response I could trigger here that after you attack attached villain, resolve its forced response as if it just attacked you. I don't know if I can do that with my allies. I think I could, but it's also a hero response and it's saying you. And I know there's that weird thing about you that they talk about online. I don't think this is as bad as what they're talking about, but in this case, I'm going to say I have to since the hero response, so it has to be my hero attacking here. So I'm going to attack, which is more of an overkill because it's going to do enough to take War down to 0, but not defeated because they have at least 1 hit point. But now I need to do his response, which is as if he attacked me. If he has at least 1 hit point, discard an upgrade or support I control. I have no support or upgrade, so I don't have anything to discard. And then now this goes away. Now, I don't think that's a part of a payment effect. I think it's just he gets to attack, so I think I don't have to have the support or upgrade. Yeah, because I'm just resolving his forced response. It doesn't know. So that gets rid of the Golden Horse. And it's because I want to bring this into play, which is a support. So I'm going to pay 2 to bring team training into play. I can only have one of them out, but each of my allies I control gain an additional hit point. So if they stay up a little bit longer. I'm going to have Legion thwart the main scheme again for 1. Because it says a response, after Legion uses a basic power, discard the top card of your deck. So we're going to reveal one. And it's that mental, which is remove 2 threat from a scheme. So remove that 2 threat from the main scheme. And then now he takes a consequence damage. And this seems like a waste. Should have played it before, but I got sidetracked, but it wouldn't have made a difference on what I did there. So we're going to play this lead from the front. Costs 2. There's 2. I choose a player. Each character that player controls gets +1 thwart and +1 attack until the end of the phase. We only have 2 more people we can activate anyway, so we're going to activate Malcolm to do 2 + the 1, 3 damage. So it's going to do 3 damage. And then he takes a consequence, and he'd be dead if it wasn't for team training. And then Randall is going to attack for 2 on the same Horseman. And take consequence damage. That's done. I'm done with my turn. I have no cards in hand. So we're going to draw up to our hand size of 5. 1, 2, well, there are all those resources. 3, 4, 5. Ready all of our stuff. Accelerate the scheme for 1. Pestilence is going to attack me for 1 because I am in hero form. It's 1 plus 2. So 3 damage. Oh, well, should have defended, but yeah, I got carried away there. And my deck runs out. That's not a good thing, so I discard these. I'm going to say my ability's active because it says after the attack, so I get that resource card. The others get discarded. And because my deck ran out, and I'm going to put something on here so I don't forget this, but because my deck ran out, we get dealt an extra encounter card. And then while I'm shuffling this, Pestilence has that after she attacks, if she has at least 1 hit point, which she does, I treat my identity's text box as if it were blank. But I just put this on here. Matter of fact, I'm going to move it over here to my character to remember that my text box is blank, except for my traits, until the next villain phase begins. I guess while I'm shuffling this, we could be dealing with the other stuff, which is there's no minions, so now we go to the encounter step. Each player's dealt another encounter card, so in this case, I have 2 encounter cards I have to deal with. So let's deal with these encounter cards. Of course, this is what's going to come out. Boo! Boo this. Alright, so this is a bad card. What this means is, now we have to go over and we have to go grab my Nemesis set. So it says, when revealed, reveal your set-aside Nemesis minion and put it into play engaged with you. So Trevor Fitzroy engages with me. Is a 2/3 minion with 5 hit points and has quick strike, which means he's going to attack me immediately. As a forced response, after Trevor Fitzroy attacks and defeats an ally, if Portal Through Time is in play, place 2 threat on it, otherwise find it and reveal it. So I don't want to defeat my allies, so it means I can't block my allies. But we don't have to go look for that whenever that happens anyways, because reveal your set-aside Nemesis side scheme and put it into play, which is Portal Through Time, like I just talked about. Forced Interrupt, when a temporal card is revealed, it gains Surge. Limit once per phase. And it gets 4 threat on there. Oh my goodness. I was actually just thinking, like I said, every time when you think you got it under control, Shadows of the Past will kick you in the giblies. So this is going to be in effect plus that extra acceleration until we get rid of that Portal Through Time. And then shuffle the rest of the set-aside Nemesis encounter, set it into your encounter deck. And if this didn't happen, we'd have to Surge. But so it's talking about these 3 cards get shuffled into the deck. Alright. That should be enough shuffles there. I'm just going to risk it and take it and hope that last card right there is not an attack. So Bishop's is going to take the attack, which Fitzroy's doing 3. He does not get the boost card, so 3 damage. I was about to discard, but I don't have to because my text box is blank, but I just take the 3 damage. And then let's deal with this last one. Horsemen of Famine. When revealed, heal 2 damage from Famine and give her a tough status card, and then she activates against you. Alright, so she's going to heal 2. She can't. She's at max. She gets a tough status card, which For anyone that's new, a tough status card is one of these. It basically says the next time that character would take any amount of damage, discard this instead. I just put one of my little counters on there to remember that. And we'll put it on her hit points so we don't forget. But now she's going to activate against me, which is going to have her attack for 1. I did forget to do the forced response to move this over here. I'm going to defend with Randall here. So he's just going to take it in the face. Let's hope this doesn't have overkill or something. Oh, we're only looking here. It has +0. I should have defended with Legion. Boo. Boo. All right, so it's doing 1 damage to Randall, which is enough to knock out Randall. And that's the encounter step. Now let's see if we can clean up this mess in my hero phase. All right, I'm going to go ahead and make Malcolm my sidekick using this card. So Malcolm is now my sidekick, which... it's got to be identity-specific ally he is that I control. And then he has +2 hit points, and he is my sidekick. And after I make a basic recovery, I get to heal 2 damage from attached ally. Alright, so we can see how this is going to work out. Let's see what's going to happen. We're going to have Legion attack Fitzroy. Oh, I just realized I almost forgot. Famine activated against me and has definitely more than 1 hit point. So I have to discard 10 cards off the top of my deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I just realized I forgot to do that because I was looking at to see what's going to happen here, which is nothing because no hit points. Now Legion is going to... yeah, it's still going to attack Trevor Fitzroy. So he's going to do 1 damage to Fitzroy. Now we got to see what happens with this, which is that mental thing, which is remove 2 threat from a scheme. And then Legion takes a damage. And now we're going to have Malcolm attack Fitzroy for 2 damage. And then Malcolm has to take a damage. And if it wasn't for team training and him being my sidekick, he's got 6 hit points. I'm going to activate this action on Malcolm. It says discard a resource card from your hand to ready Malcolm. If that card has a printed fist icon, heal 1 damage from Malcolm. So I'm discarding this one, which does have the printed fist icon, which is going to ready Malcolm. And since it had the fist icon, it heals him for 1 damage. And now I'm going to have him attack Fitzroy again for another 2 damage, which is enough to knock out Fitzroy. Oh, I just made a mess there. But now Malcolm takes another damage. And actually, I'm going to take one little thing back because I just forgot to play it. I was thinking in my head all the options I had. I'm actually going to attach this to Malcolm before I do that, which is an upgrade. Attached to an X-Force or X-Men ally, max 1 per ally. As a response, after attached ally defeats a minion or side scheme, discard 1 card from your hand to heal 1 damage from... I mean, I always had that planned. I just was trying to figure out if there was better things for me to do. Because now when he knocked out Fitzroy, I'll discard this, which has 2 icons on it, to heal 1 damage from attached ally for each resource on that card. So it's going to heal him for 2. I'm going to switch to my alter ego form. I do not get the response because my text box is still blank, except for traits. I'm going to recover 4 hit points with Bishop, putting him at 5. And then because Malcolm is my sidekick, he heals for another 2 as a response, because that was a basic recovery. And with that, we're done. I'm going to keep this in hand. We're going to draw up to 6, so we'll get all 5 new cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then ready all of our cards. And it said my text box was blank until the next villain phase begins. So now my text box is back. Doesn't matter. We're going to accelerate the scheme. Plus it gets the additional +1 from Portal Through Time. Now War is going to activate against me. I'm in alter ego form, so he is scheming for 1 plus the boost card. Another 2. So 3 scheme added. So we're halfway at 6 to the 12. It was not an attack, so the response doesn't happen. Plus, it doesn't matter because War has 0 hit points. War activated, so it moves on to Famine. Oh, come on, encounter phase. Do not do me wrong. Another. Do we need more of these? The Ravages of War. War used the shock waves created by his arms to keep his opponents off balance. When defeated, the player who defeated this scheme discards an upgrade or support they control. And I'm going to have to take care of this, which 6 is going to be pretty rough. Otherwise, I'm going to have to deal with multiple encounters. Ugh. It is not looking good for the Homestar Runner. All right, here we go. Back to the hero phase. All right, we're going to have Malcolm go ahead and attack Pestilence for 2. Which is going to put a damage on Malcolm. Should have done this first, but I was thinking of going a different route. But we're going to have Legion attack Famine for 1. So that gets rid of this toughness. And we're hoping to hit that physical here so that he heals. Otherwise, that KOs him. We did not. So we hit that thing, which lets me remove 2 threat from a scheme. So we're going to move to 2 threat from Portal Through Time. That happened. Legion takes his last damage, which is enough to knock out Legion. Gonna flip Bishop to his hero form. I'm going to attack Pestilence for 2, which is enough. Not defeat, but take Pestilence to 0. Now I'm going to play Concussive Blast for 3. There's the 3, and I did pay with a resource card, which is going to ready Bishop after this attack, but it's going to do 6 damage to an enemy, and then get to ready Bishop because I used a resource card. So 6 damage to Famine. Yeah, I did this right. All right. Woo. Let's just play it out, though. That's going to ready Bishop. And because we can, let's have Bishop thwart the Ravages of War. He'll just thwart the main scheme. Let's just do it. I don't know why I'm thinking that hard on it. Because now I'm going to bring out X-23 with overpayment here. And just have her do a 3 attack against Famine, which is enough to knock out Famine. And now they're all at 0. So since no villains have 1 hit point, they're all defeated at once. Whew, that did come down to it. There were some hairy moments there for sure. That was a little bit different than what I expected. Because I got thinking, whenever I done the unboxing with Bishop, I was like, I don't really play with many resources, but then I noticed he didn't really have that many resource cards in his deck other than his 3 main and the 3 that you usually play with in almost every deck anyways. And I mean, it seemed like it does some cool stuff, and it really wasn't as dependent upon the resources I thought it would be. But, no, yeah, I like Bishop, and that was cool. Of course, we'll see in the edit if I did anything different. or anything wrong, I should say. I don't think so, but we never know, because sometimes I'm concentrating on these videos too much and I just don't see it. But either way, I was just going to go through this and talk about some of the cards definitely I do like, that I just really want to play with. I mean, I really do like the one about the sidekick, because it lets you use your sidekick. Like, I'll probably go on my Ant-Man for sure. Maybe Cable, just because I like Cable, but man, I don't know. I did like X-23. X-23 was really good. Well, definitely won me the game. Legion was cool. Legion will definitely go in my deck with Storm. Probably Marrow too. I do like Marrow's. I mean, it's only 4 damage there, but it's really 6 still because of a response. So she comes in, does some damage. I do like that. That was silly to do with that sidekick. And I had that misplay there. I just meant to play that. But it wouldn't have mattered. He still would have been up, even if I didn't play that first to discard. Yep. No, that was cool. I did like Bishop a lot more than I thought I would. I mean, I wanted to play him. I was hoping to like him. I did like it a little bit more than I thought I would. We'll see if I did any misplays on the video. But let's get this all cleaned up and get some shuffles through. And let's get on to Magic and see how she plays. I'm actually thinking I'm going to enjoy playing her quite a bit, just because of she does things and tricks that I like doing. But other than that, yeah, that was cool. I enjoyed it. Let's get on to the next video. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.